Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today's December 18th, and right now we are taking a look at the infrared satellite imagery here. You can see Arctic air is in place across much of Western Canada. It is spilling off the continent here and wrapping back into the Pacific Northwest. Some accumulating snowfall already occurring across southwest BC this morning, including some thunder snow out there. There is that chance for it all the way down through the Puget Sound. It's a long shot, but it does happen from time to time when we get some Arctic air down into the region here and some convergent zone activity. If you take a look across the Pacific Ocean here, you see all this moisture out here? This is eventually going to develop a system and try to punch in towards Pacific Northwest as we go through Tuesday. Pretty wicked battleground between warm and cold air, probably setting up somewhere right in the Seattle metro area here as we go on through the day Tuesday. Places north of that battleground are going to be all snow. Places south could have some rain mixing in, a little bit warmer temperatures trying to punch in there to the Puget Sound here. We'll take a look at what the models have to say about that here in a moment. Now, closer look, you can see those lightning strikes. If you look closely, a couple of white dots popped up there for southwest BC, Vancouver for that thunder snow. On this loop of the infrared satellite imagery, you can see just how cold the air is there too, with the blues and greens showing up there. But you can see that cold air pumping off the coastline here back into western Washington. It does pick up some of this moisture, but it also modifies at the lower levels. That's why Seattle is into the lower 40s right now with the onshore flow. But that will change tonight as we start to bring these northerlies down through the Puget Sound into western Washington as we go on in through tomorrow morning. Now, taking a look here at the windy app, you can see this cold air coming off the coastline well there. Westerlies down the Strait of Juan de Fuca still, but you see the northerly winds start to come down through the Fraser River Gap there. Some northwest winds coming down through the Strait of Georgia as well. They're meeting up and creating those interesting convergent zones with some accumulating snowfall across southwest BC, East Vancouver Island areas there. You see the southerlies through Seattle. It's actually gusting into the mid-30s here at my house right now, but that will change and we'll get some convergent zone activity as these southerlies start to meet up with the northerlies that punch down through the Puget Sound later on tonight into tomorrow morning. Now, taking a look here, we've got the European on the left and the RGEM on the right. This is a Canadian model here. Let's take a look at what it shows. You can see the European likes kind of the central Puget Sound for the convergence zone, a little bit further north on the RGEM here on the right overnight tonight. And that's probably the best chance for maybe a stray rogue lightning strike across the area there. But don't hold me to that one. It's still kind of a long shot. But we could get some accumulating snowfall in this band as it moves down through the central Puget Sound overnight into tomorrow morning there. And we get a little bit of a break here. Next system starts to arrive off the Pacific here, and we get a really interesting boundary here. It shows up right on the Seattle metro there. You can see the RGEM keeps us a little bit colder down towards Tacoma, but this allows that warm air to get all the way to downtown Seattle here, but then it crashes back down quickly. The temperatures will as we go on into Tuesday evening and nighttime. So anything that falls is going to refreeze by that time, even for the Seattle metro. But you can see it remains as all snow for Seattle and most of Tacoma here on the RGEM as we go through Tuesday night, shown there. And as we go a little bit further out, where this is hot off the press European, so this is as far as it goes right now. So we'll take a look at some other models a little bit further out. Now taking a look at total Snow-Kuchera, again with the European on the left, the RGEM on the right, put this into motion, and you can see that accumulating snowfall across southwest BC through this evening. Some portions northwest Washington could get a surprise as well if any convergent zone activity hangs up on any given area. You see the European and the RGEM both kind of like the central Puget Sound as we go here. That 3 inches is pretty close to Seattle. That would be pretty darn disruptive here as we go on in through Monday morning. And then we bring that next system in here, bring some additional snowfall, but you can see it's right on the borderline here, and the European doesn't add much more to the Seattle total as far as snowfall there, but you can see the RGEM really hammers Seattle here. Kind of an interesting battle here between some of the models as this warm air is shown on all the models, but how far north will it go? That is the big question. But take a look off in eastern Washington too, Spokane, Pullman, northeast Oregon as well. Some big snowfall potential with this. Idaho Panhandle as well. Southwest BC continues to pile it on. Any moisture that comes up, mainly north of Seattle, will be falling to snow as we go on through this week, probably until at least Friday late morning or afternoon as of this point. Now taking a little bit wider look here at the European, you can see some of these snowfall totals out for northeast Oregon, southeast Washington, and for Spokane, Pullman out there, Idaho, Montana. The snows are going to pile up here, especially through western Montana as well. Not too much for the valley down here through Idaho, but could see a little bit of snowfall, and some cold temperatures are definitely on the way. You can see the Willamette Valley gets skunked mainly by the snow here, though, going through this week. Looks like the models have kind of decided on that, but there is the chance for some freezing rain for some of the Willamette Valley. We'll take a look at that here in a moment as well. Now, taking a look here, this is the European 100-meter wind speed shown. As we put this into motion, you can see it's pretty in line with what's actually occurring right now. Then you can see the flow turn northwesterly and northerly down the Puget Sound as we go through tonight and kind of hang up over the central sound there. And that's the point of concern as we go through tonight to tomorrow morning for that convergence zone to hang out across the central sound on into Monday morning. For that Monday morning commute, it could be pretty tricky there around the Seattle metro as we go. And then we go a little bit further out into the future here, and you can see the next system. Look at the southerlies out ahead of this system here, and the northerlies kind of behind it as it makes landfall on the Washington coast. And it's kind of moving a little bit east-southeast at this point, but you see it does bring the southerly winds all the way up to downtown Seattle by Tuesday late morning. Then quickly starts to bring some northwest winds behind that later Tuesday afternoon, which would really drop the temperature quite quickly. Will this remain snow? How far north will these southerlies get? How much of this warm air will get up towards North Seattle, or will it stay more down towards Olympia or Tacoma? Depends on what model you believe. So apparently I'm going to have to do another video tonight or a live stream tonight, and we'll watch the additional model runs come in and have some more fun with that and see where that snow rain line sets up. But as we look here, I'm going to look at the Europeans' temperatures. Watch this. This is what's going on today. You can see Seattle up into the 40s right now, and plenty cold in eastern Washington. Some of the Columbia River Basin there is going to get up in the 40s as well, but that's going to change overnight. Also, Willamette Valley into the 40s today, coastal areas as well. But watch what happens overnight. Seattle quickly cools off and goes down below freezing as we go on through this evening. But look up towards Bellingham, southwest BC, East Vancouver Island. Very chilly temperatures coming as this cold air sags south overnight tonight. So by tomorrow morning, there's going to be a pretty good freeze going on across much of the Puget Sound, all the way down towards Portland, even potentially some black ice could form as well. Keep that into motion here on in through Monday. You can see we warm up a little bit Monday here for Seattle. Cool back down again Monday night. Then the system starts to arrive, and you can see the warm tongue here off the Washington coast, that little mid-latitude cyclone here moving towards the coastline there. There goes that warm air all the way up to Seattle. Almost starts to get up above freezing even towards Everett here on this latest European run. So it's going to introduce some warm air, but then quickly drop these temperatures back down again as we go on through Tuesday afternoon. So it's going to be a really interesting battle between this warm and cold air. There's probably going to be a really dynamic snowfall somewhere on the sweet spot of the north side of that system as it slides through the area. Then you can see the temperature start to drop off as we go on through the day Wednesday. Probably not getting above freezing for Seattle on the day Wednesday, or Thursday for that matter, as you can see here, in some overnight lows likely to be in the teens, maybe even some single digits up through the northwest interior, off a little bit. The further you go from the Puget Sound, of course, you're going to get a little bit colder. As you can see some pretty cold temperatures up through the Cascades. Look at eastern Washington, kind of a widespread area of below 0 Fahrenheit temperatures coming up here, even down towards Portland, Willamette Valley into the lower 20s and teens possible. Cold air reaching the coastline, even of Oregon, if you believe the European there, which is probably pretty realistic with what's coming here. Now, taking a look here, this is the national blend of models. Let's see what it has to say. You can see the temperature crash as we go to the overnight hours tonight into tomorrow morning. Seattle down into the 20s, Olympia, Tacoma, down towards freezing for Portland, eastern Washington, very cold, Oregon as well. Then we go on into Monday, maybe a little bit above freezing for Seattle here. You can see it warm up for Tacoma and Olympia as well. And then as we go into Monday night to Tuesday morning, you can see it does warm us up through Seattle just above freezing here as we go through Tuesday afternoon. Then we crash those temperatures back down again Tuesday night on in through Wednesday and Thursday, maybe not above freezing, maybe one of the days, maybe both. We'll see for Seattle, but you can see the very chilly temperatures still exist here as we go on in through later this week. And then we start to bring another system in there, which could start at some freezing rain. You see how this cold air here is getting reinforced down towards Portland, which is now colder than Seattle, if you believe this, getting on into Friday morning shown there. So there could be some ice accumulation down there for Portland, even some of the Willamette Valley areas a little bit further south in Portland as well. Now taking a look here at the GEM Canadian model here. This kind of shows some interesting freezing rain potential here coming up as we go on into Friday or late Thursday night into Friday morning here for some of the Willamette Valley and Portland areas here. So this needs to be watched, but we do have several days to continue to monitor this situation as we go a little bit further on. And you can see as this Pacific moisture overruns some of these valleys all the way up towards the Fraser River Gap and whatnot, really nobody is out of the potential here for some freezing rain, including like Snoqualmie Pass. Once things start to warm up again, you could still get some. What happens is you get the cold air through eastern Washington, and it can infiltrate into some of these mountain passes here, and you can keep that layer of sub-freezing air and ride that Pacific moisture back over the top of it. So there is that freezing rain threat coming up through later this week. This is Seattle, Tacoma. This is the NAM. You can see it drops us below freezing by tonight, and it keeps us below freezing for much of the week here across Seattle. But like we saw, not all models agree. As you can see, the Canadian, that nice tongue of warm air moves in here as we go through Tuesday afternoon and then crashes the freezing levels back down behind it as we go through Tuesday night. And then you can see the potential warm up as we go on in through Christmas Eve and Christmas here across Pacific Northwest, which could bring its own slew of problems in the form of a windstorm or maybe atmospheric river activity there as well. Now taking a look at Bellingham, once you crash below it, as you go through the day today, which are probably already below freezing, almost certainly there for Bellingham right now, you're going to stay there pretty much all week until at least Friday before the potential first thaw comes for Bellingham. Very cool temperatures coming for northwest interior Washington, southwest BC. This kind of gives you a good diagram of what's going on here. The high temperature is only 29 there on Thursday. Then that warm up here with potential messy transition as we go through the day Friday for Bellingham. Seattle, Tacoma, this is the 06Z European here. I might be overdoing some of these highs a little bit here, but you can see you're going to feel it out there. It's going to be pretty chilly. We could be 2 to 3 days freezing or below for SeaTac before potentially messy transition on Friday with some snow possibilities as you saw during the midweek portion there. Spokane, look at this. Into the icebox you go out for eastern Washington. Like I said, there's going to be some temperatures below 0 Fahrenheit out there, so heads up, get prepared. Right now is the time to do it. And then the potential for some messy transitions here as we go on in through next weekend, even for eastern Washington, as some temperatures could rise above freezing, even the overnight lows. Now, taking a look here at the Tri-Cities. Now, I've got people that watch in eastern Washington too. And for the Columbia Basin, Yakima, you're just not dealing with that much precipitation, but what falls could be in the form of snowfall here as we go through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And like we know, it only takes an inch or two to make a mess of things around here. And then there is the potential for some moisture making it over the mountains there as we go on into Thursday night into Friday here. We'll continue to watch that system. We still have some time to figure that out as we go. This is Boise here. Look at the cold temperatures coming, then the potential warm up as we go on in through Christmas and on in through the new year shown there. But some pretty chilly temperatures there. Look at some of these overnight lows are down in the single digits for Boise there as we go through this week. This is Portland International, and this ice storm threat as we go through Thursday into Friday does exist there, and you can see some of these overnight lows support that as well. Dease Lake, this is way up into BC. Look at some of these temperatures here. This is Celsius, but negative 40 Celsius is negative 40 Fahrenheit shown here. So some pretty darn cold air there up across some of British Columbia there. Just had to show you this. Some pretty extreme values shown there. This is for Eugene here. Does show a little bit of icing potential here as you go on in through Friday morning. So just heads up for that. We'll continue to watch that threat there. This is for Salem. Also showing a little bit of icing there on yesterday afternoon's European. So we'll watch that for that freezing rain potential there. Now take a look here. You can see this is Bellingham to Lake Williams. If we look closely there, you can see this negative gradient. That means the pressure is higher over BC. That Arctic air is flowing out towards Bellingham. Some gusty winds going on up there. And you can see how the pressure gradient has been increasing. We're kind of leveling out here now, but this is probably going to fluctuate back and forth here over the next couple of days and during this week as the high pressure remains over British Columbia there, and the troughing and the low pressure systems will be moving through western Washington. Taking a look at that, so you can see the higher pressure here across BC, and that's that pressure gradient we talk about. Lake Williams is here, or Williams Lake, I should say, is about here. And so you can see we've got about a 16 millibar difference between the two, and that allows that cold Arctic air to flow through the gaps there back in towards western Washington, southwest BC, and eventually make its way down the Puget Sound there. So you can see the Arctic high on this diagram here. Put this in motion a little bit here, and you can see the system as it comes in. Here we go on into Monday night and Tuesday. This is that system here when it crosses almost right over the Puget Sound shown there with that Arctic high there. And then the temperatures will crash behind that weak low pressure system as it traverses underneath this Arctic high into western Montana by the time you get into Wednesday morning. But look at this Arctic high really not going anywhere anytime quickly here as we go on in through later this week. Going to stay cold here across Pacific Northwest, folks. Now taking a look here. This is from my buddy up here in Vancouver, actually East Vancouver Island here. Check out the scene there this morning. Look at the Toyota dealership just kind of covering everything out there. Pretty dynamic snowfall going up on there. And like I said, they had some thunder snow as well. So pretty fun time up there. This is from my other buddy up there in Canada, from Ryan. And this is Highway 1, I believe, out there. But you can see pretty dynamic snowfall. There's a lot of spin outs he was also showing on his Twitter feed there. So, yeah, interesting times coming up here, folks. The Arctic air is now starting its move into the Pacific Northwest, and you can see that clearly here in the infrared satellite imagery. I love this look as this Arctic air streams off here, picks up this moisture, and forms this low-level instability back into the Pacific Northwest. Then we're going to be dealing with some Pacific systems trying to interact with this Arctic air here, too. So I'll probably do another live stream tonight, and we'll go ahead and talk about what the new models have to say, because it's a very interesting boundary right across Seattle. That warm air has been creeping up in recent runs, but at the same time that's going to really hammer somebody with Seattle north with snowfall if that does occur. So we'll continue to monitor that as we go. But overnight tonight, we're going to be watching for that convergent zone activity sliding, starting from the north, working its way down south and through Monday morning here. And again, some of the models are kind of favoring the central Puget Sound there. So don't be surprised if you wake up to impactful snowfall for the Monday morning commute. Stay tuned, and we'll do another live stream tonight, folks. So anyway, looks like I got my members streaming on the right side again. I'll go ahead and keep updating that as we go. Again, I got a new computer, so all my OBS settings here got changed a little bit. So I'll go ahead and keep working on that. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later on today. We'll do a live stream like I said, and stay warm out there, and I will talk to you guys later.